Happy Wednesday morning, everybody. Hope you're doing well. So why? Why do I do videos? Why do I have a presence on social media? Let me kind of break this down a little bit. So my why. So if you ever had the opportunity to listen to Simon Sinek's It Starts With Why, read the book, watch the TED Talk, or even I think I've even seen it on Netflix has the TED Talk, seen it on YouTube, a snippet of one of his talks where he talks about like the golden circle where on the outside you start with what people do, then you start with how, and then at the center, at the core, is why. And so for a lot of people, they don't ask themselves enough whys to get really to the root of it. So this is why probably about like 2014, 2015, kind of evaluating, why I'm doing what I'm doing. And kind of what's motivating my different decisions. Now, growing up, so some of you that kind of know the story, I'll kind of break it down. Born in California, I lived there for 7 years, then moved to Chicago, Illinois, Arlington Heights specifically, lived there for a few years, then moved to Solon, Ohio, which is outside of Cleveland, for a couple years, and then my high school years, at least 3 of the 4, were in England. So 2 years went to private British school, Abbotshome, and was there my freshman, sophomore year. So I did my GCSEs for anyone that's familiar with that school system. And then we knew we were going to move back to the United States. So my junior year, I actually boarded down at a school in London. So to get there, to get home, I'd have to take a taxi to the underground to the train station home, and then when I got there, would have to call my folks either from the payphone, or I planned ahead of time that I should be able to hit a certain train and get home at a certain time. My roommate was from Japan. My neighbor was my brother and his friend Rob Schwartz, and met other students from all over the world: Japan, Saudi Arabia, Iran, England. It was just a variety of people, just an amazing opportunity. Anyway, so that was this American school down there in London. Is called the American Community School, and then ACS. And then as a senior, moved back to Solon, Ohio, finished there, went out to college for 1 year at BYU, met some amazing friends called the Dog Pound. And then after 1 year, deferred, and then I served a Christian mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for 2 years in the Philippines. I was a thriller in Manila, and then came back, finished college in Utah, worked for about a year, and then and got married at that time, and then moved out to Wisconsin. Now, then Wisconsin, I was there the majority of my adult life, and then at 2018 June, moved down here to Houston, Texas. So in this kind of, as I was investigating my why, the reason why I brought up that long-winded story about my moves and changes is because I thought like, okay, well, I like to embrace new things. I mean, the other day, when I was going through this Start With Why, I was at the grocery store and I was like, oh man, I've never cooked with jicama. Let's buy some. And so I thought, okay, well, I mean, I really embrace change. I embrace the new. That's my why. But I was like, but what's compelling me to do that? And then I thought more about, my ability to interact with people. I'm 100% extrovert. I love engaging with people. It actually gives me energy. For other people, it totally, sucks like energy out of them. Fills them with anxiousness if they have to meet people or go into a group. For me, it's the exact opposite. It gets me more and more excited. So as I looked at the why, I chose different things in my profession. Why going into sales made sense because I like people. I enjoy communicating. I love hearing their story. I'm a 100% extrovert. That it kind of aligns. But then I was like, why? Like, what's really motivating that? And then I realized the certain decisions that I'm making is to be able to make sure that I leave a legacy of positivity, right? And so thus kind of grew out of this investigation of constantly asking myself why, and it took several months. It wasn't one thing that I could just sit on the weekend and kind of pen it out, but it ultimately came down to my why in doing what I do collectively, right? Professionally and personally, spiritually, the 360 degrees of me is because I want to leave a legacy by positively impacting people. And so when I decided to jump online, again, social media platforms are a communication tool. And so it's for 100% extrovert, these are like great, awesome, amazing ways to be able to communicate with others. And for me to hear your story. What are you doing? What are you struggling with? What questions do you have? Can I be of any value? We were making some videos for work, for, just some different sales process, language. And as I was doing this, I can distinctly remember I decided I'd post some stuff online. And I remember sitting on the couch and I laid a bunch of t-shirts out. So that way, as I'm doing the video, that way I could change it up. And my wife had gone to help her sister, be with the family as she had their third son. And so I remember sitting there, putting the kids to bed, and I'm sitting there to October of 2016, and I'm just like debating in my own mind. TV's off at this point. I'm just sitting on the couch and I'm kind of staring off into space. And I have this pile of shirts that I'm gonna change and keep doing one video at a time, and so that way there's just a different look there. And it's not until I'm sitting there and it's probably 10 at night, and I'm debating whether to put videos out. And I finally at 2 a.m. just started cranking out videos one after the other, and that became like my move to start sharing some of my thoughts. It is, for some people they say like writing a book's vulnerable because you're letting people know what's going on in your mind. For me, creating videos was a step into the public, so to speak, right? Where prior to that, if you look at any kind of posts and things like that, for me, it was nothing. Sharing a little bit of my life of what I was doing with my sons was common, but nothing from a standpoint of, okay, here's my inner thoughts, right? This is what's going on in the old noodle. And so, again, the whole point of that is to leave a legacy by positively impacting people. And so I'm a big believer that you gotta be unapologetically you. You gotta just let yourself be out there. And every single person is flawed and is working on something and is working at getting better. And so there's no value in comparing. Let's say I'm at chapter 15 of where I'm in my progress of leadership or career development, and you're just starting chapter 1. So that's okay. Like there's no, at the same time for me, right? If I look at somebody else, like let's say like a Tony Robbins who's out there in public, and I go, oh wow, this guy's creating some amazing motivational content. I'm never gonna be like that. Again, that's true. I'm not Tony Robbins. I'm Sherman On. I'm my own self. And so the idea that I'm going to compare myself to somebody that's been doing what they're doing since their 20s is silly, because we're not in the same professions. We don't have the same life. And anytime that you think that that someone's life, is cherry, that they don't struggle with anything, you don't know that person well enough. Don't kid yourself that someone that's been married for 30 years hasn't had struggles and conversations that were tough and arguments that ensued and disagreements. And anytime that you see somebody that has some good wealth, know that it came with hard work, right? Don't make the assumptions that all these things just kind of came raining down upon them. People have to put forth the effort. Without any effort, there is no growth. It's just how the law of life works. Now, someone might say, well, sure, what are people that inherit tons of money? That's a smaller percentage of the world. The majority of people out there, I gotta hustle, they gotta put forth the effort, they gotta stumble, they gotta fall, they gotta keep rising every single time that happens in order to achieve success. So in all this ranting and raving, because I'm getting close to the 10-minute marker, and that's I want to be able to make sure I can squeeze this into a long video on Instagram, is I want to be able to provide value. Now, things that I'm passionate about: motivation, leadership. I'm in financial services. I'm passionate about that. Helping other people, serving, career development, career growth. Just some of that's just based on my own experience, and then of course what I do in my day in day out role. And then I'm a big believer on social media. I'm a big believer on people, and at the heart of who I am, I'm a believer in God and in Christ. And so if that aligns with you, awesome. If it doesn't align with you, no big deal. And then I'll show you some different things of how you can be unapologetically yourself. A lot of times I'll be lifting weights at a gas station or something, just because that's me being me, and you got to do you. Sherman's out.